So today I want to talk about how to choose a long-term partner and how to actually go about finding a long-term partner. Now, the one part about finding a long-term partner, because people ask me this a lot, and I tell them it's a lot like trying to shoot a cobra, and so that gets their attention. So now that I hopefully got your attention, I'm going to leave that towards the end. But I really want to go through some criteria about how to choose a long-term partner. But last week, I talked about what people want in partners. And when we deal with happiness, people have an intuition of what they want and what they don't want. And although we can look at peer-reviewed material to see what people want, typically they don't end up choosing the right things. So for today, in choosing a long-term partner, I want to use some material that is based on my own experience. It's based on some art, some philosophy, and some anecdotal evidence. So I want to go that route because I do think it might actually be even more valuable than the peer-reviewed research that we have available, and hopefully you'll agree. So last week we talked about that what people are looking for in a partner is where they're looking for this bespoke type of partner where they're tailor-made with these correct character traits, with these certain personality types, where there's a certain type of attractiveness, many external things that we're talking about here. But for today, I think what we want to do is have more importance on the big picture, such as life goals and towards like an end game and not just individual traits. So right from the top, I think it would be good to consider a person or to choose somebody who actively supports your growth, your talent, and somebody really who wants you to achieve your dreams. Now, I can give you some examples of this, and this works in business, it works in regular relationships, it also works in obviously romantic relationships like we're talking about today. So here will be some anecdotal evidence I would give you. So most of my whole life I've been involved in sports, I've been involved in bodybuilding of some kind. Now it takes a lot of commitment to do that, whether it's the actual training, whether it's the actual competing, whether it's the nutritional programs. All that does take a lot of time. Now, if I was going to be dating somebody that enjoyed the way, let's say, I looked because of my lifestyle, but my lifestyle took up too much time in their life, and they would like me to train less or, eat regular, fast food and stuff like that, well, that would be the end of the relationship. It wouldn't matter if that person was nice or if they were kind or they were respectful. None of these small traits would matter because the big picture is they would not support my lifestyle. So that relationship would have to end. Let me talk about it from a business standpoint. As a trainer, what I've done many times over the last 30 years is I help people with their posing routines. And I actually happen to be really good at it. But one of the amazing things that people notice that when I do people's posing routines, I do it for men, women, in bodybuilding, in figure, and bikini, most people in the audience have no idea that I'm the one helping the person on stage. And there's a reason for this, is because each client comes to me and I understand that they're an individual. They have their own strengths, weaknesses, they have their own personality traits. And what I do is that I expand on who they are as a person. So I fully support them reaching their potential. So if somebody comes to me and they're from Texas, let's say, and they like country music, I hate country music, but their routine is going to be a country song and it brings out their personality. So what I'm doing here is I'm supporting their growth, their talent, and their dream. Whereas, interestingly, a lot of other trainers, when they help people, it's the trainer. Because every routine looks the same, and what they're doing is they're trying to create a mini-me. They don't know any other way than themselves, so that technically they're not really supporting their clients in their growth and reaching their potential and bringing out the best in them. They don't know any better. So what they're doing is that The routines look very robotic and very unemotional because the person is trying to be somebody they're not. They're being inauthentic. So the way I look at that is again, that's not being in tune or having attunement with another person. And I think that's of utmost importance when we're dealing with people in any relationship. Moving on, I also think it's extremely important to find someone who is willing to give you space and gives up having control over your life, because this is what happens a lot. A lot of people who are insecure, what they'll do is they try to shut down your life and make your life smaller instead of trying to make themselves stronger to accommodate a person who wants to be bigger and to expand their value in the world. Now, I could go on about this, but I did say I was going to use some art here to really expand on this, and I don't want to misconstrue his words in any way, because Khalil Gibran is probably the greatest poet who ever lived, and I'm just going to read his words because I can't improve upon what he has to say. He wrote this in 1923. It's from a book called The Prophet, and it's part of my library. It's been there for, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 years. And he wrote this about marriage, and I'll read it to you now. You were born together, and together you shall be forevermore. You shall be together when the white wings of death scatter your days. You shall be together even in the silent memory of God. But let there be spaces in your togetherness, and let the winds of the heavens dance between you. Love one another, but make not a bond of love. Let it rather be a moving sea between the shores of your souls. And fill each other's cup, but drink not from one cup. Give one another of your bread, but eat not from the same loaf. Sing and dance together and be joyous. But let each one of you be alone, even as the strings of a lute are alone, though they quiver with the same music. Give your hearts, but not into each other's keeping, for only the hand of life can contain your hearts. And stand together, yet not too near. For the pillars of the temple stand apart, and the oak tree and the cypress grow not in each other's shadow. So I can't improve on that. But obviously what he's saying is that a long-term partnership includes both people being on their own 2 feet and allowing the other person to grow. So how do we improve our chances of finding the right person? Well, the easiest way to do it, well, maybe not the easiest, but it's probably the most important, is to find happiness and to find satisfaction in your own life first. Don't expect other people to make you happy. Happiness is an inside job. It's completely your responsibility to do that. Don't use other people as an entertainment committee. You're not supposed to be paying them $100 so they can entertain you for an hour and a half like there's some music group or something. That's not what your partner is for. You're supposed to share your happiness with them. And in the same light, it would be beneficial to choose somebody who is also happy and satisfied with their life. When somebody's happy and satisfied with their life, there's a much less chance of them being angry or resentful or frustrated when you decide to change some things in your life or to get better in your life. They will probably fully support you. People who are happy with their life like to see other people do well, especially their partner. They don't look at you like your competition, so they will be supportive, and that's very important. Now, we also have to think about, what does a relationship mean to you? I'll give you an artsy type of look at what a relationship is. A relationship is not 2 people looking at each other. A relationship is two people looking in the same direction together. So again, lofty goals and the end game. And you cannot do this by trying to get certain characters in each person or trying to find traits in each person to do this. I'll give you an example. I'm 55 years old, so hopefully somebody out there will know what I'm talking about. The Beatles are arguably the greatest music group in the history of music. But if they had the internet back then, or you could choose bandmates based on online surveys, there is no way in the world that anybody would have picked Ringo Starr to be their drummer. There are thousands of drummers better than Ringo Starr, but he needed to be in that band. He helped them all look in the same direction, and he offered them criticism when they needed it, and he offered what he needed to, but he didn't step on the other people. He allowed everybody else to do what they do best. And so I don't want to get too much into the music part because I don't know if anybody listens to this likes music, but I think that would be a good example that it's about where you're going and the end game. And for the Beatles, it was to come out with the best artistic music they could. It didn't matter about their own personal traits. So let's assess your partner now. And again, we could do this in an artistic type of way. Here's a question you would need to ask yourself. Is your partner angry when you're not doing what they want? Now, that sounds like a crazy question because a lot of people get angry when you're not doing what they want. But that is not conducive to a good long-term relationship. This is what would be better. Ask your partner this. Is your partner angry when you're not doing what you want? Because if they're angry about you not living out your dreams, you not doing the best you can for yourself, that's the partner you want. Because they're there for your growth and they're there for your best interests. I'll give you some examples of that, and I really had to think about this today because I always want to be honest on these shows, and this one was kind of tough to be honest about. When I was married, I was only a trainer then, but I always wanted to go back to school to be a therapist, and I mentioned that. And she was so angry, and she was so dismissive and invalidating, and put me down and thought, what a waste. You're so selfish. You're taking all that extra time and money away from me and the kids. And as time goes on, she died. And I've been complimented many times in my life about how I was able to overcome grief. And it's a difficult thing, as everybody who's been through it knows. There's no doubt about that. But I also feel like a little bit of a fraud sometimes because I had a little bit of a silver bullet, so to speak, in my back pocket on this one. Because I knew that when she died that I had a chance to be the person that I wanted to be, and I couldn't blame her like I was before. So I was able to be a better person. I was able to be a more valuable person to the universe. And this is what I actually really wanted to be. And when somebody does not want you to be who you want to be, it becomes at some points like you're sleeping with the enemy. And that's a tough thing to come to grips with, but I believe that's true. So that's my anecdotal evidence of saying that it's very, very hard to be with someone who only wants to extract certain things from you, but they don't care about you being happy in the way that you want to be happy. So that was extremely difficult for me. Let me use an example in a movie. The movie 300. Leonidas was the king, and he needed to lead his men out to battle. And his wife says to him, bring back your shield or be carried on it. And what this referred to back then in the war was either you're going to come back as a winner or you're going to come back dead. Don't come back a loser. Now, somebody out there might say, well, that's a woman who's just being way too pushy with a guy, right? Like, don't come back as a loser, you know. But that's not it. She would have taken him back. She would have been fine. But what she was worried about is that him being the king with all his responsibility, she knew that he would hate himself for not being a winner and for not being able to save all the men, the women, and the children. And so he would be basically worthless to her. And so she gave him this blessing of do the best that you can, even to your own death. And that's it. I can't think of anything more supportive than that. So that's basically what I'm talking about. Your partner should be able to be angry that you're not living your best life. So how do you find the right partner? And here's where I say it's the same way you shoot a cobra. Now, don't take me word for word. I'm from New York. I've never shot a cobra, but I've read this before, and it kind of makes sense to me. So a cobra is very dangerous, they're very fast, and they're very skinny. So if you're going to try to shoot one and it's attacking you, you're probably going to miss, and you're probably just going to make it angry, and you're going to die. But see, it's not that hard. And it's just like it's not that hard to find a long-term partner either. Here's the trick. Somebody will ask me, did you ever have fun chasing girls? I said, no, I've never chased a girl in my life. Because if I'm chasing, they're running. Listen, when you're valuable, you don't chase anything. They come to you. And that's the issue. Don't be pretentious. Don't be somebody you're not. Don't make up words. Don't try to make these conversations that don't exist to impress people, because then you're going to attract the wrong people. Your job is to make yourself into an authentic, courageous, unapologetic target. And once you do that, and you're living your best life the way you want to, it comes across as confident. It comes across that you're secure. It comes across that you're real. And most people are attracted to that. So how do you shoot a cobra? Don't chase it. Don't take the first shot. What you do is that if you hold up the gun and you hold it in one place and just stand there and be courageous, the snake will line up to the barrel of the gun because it's trying to attack you. So let it line up, and then you take your shot. There's nothing easier. So again, just to reiterate the point, someone might ask, how do you find a partner? Just be yourself. Be the best person you can be. Maximize your talents. Maximize your potential. Do what makes you happy. Everybody's attracted to happiness. Be satisfied with your life. And you can do that without having somebody else make you happy. And that's always attractive. So you don't need to chase anybody down. So how do you choose a long-term partner? All the things I just said, go over them all. Look for somebody that is really there for your growth down the road. Now, I have also had a conversation this week, and I want to end with this. If you end up in a relationship where you're with somebody for, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, this is typically what happens. You're going to reconnect at different parts of your life. And it's your job to reconnect and to remember why you're with that person in the first place. So the way I would phrase it is that you're going to have many relationships in your life. But hopefully it's with the same person. if you understand my meaning. So let me finish with this, because again, I said I was going to be philosophical also. And I love Friedrich Nietzsche. He's the greatest philosopher who ever lived. And here's just something else, food for thought. Nietzsche said, in terms of long-term relationships, it's not a lack of love, but a lack of friendship that makes unhappy marriages. So with that, I'm Joe Peroni, and this is the Rise Above Project. I hope you liked today's show and thought it was interesting, and hopefully you can subscribe, and even better, tell a couple of friends. I could use some subscribers, that's for sure. Thank you.